Hello, everyone, and welcome to an edition of This Week in History. Today, I am joined by Trey Hatch, and he has not heard these stories before, so he'll be asking questions along the way and helping me tell these tales to their fullest comedic effect. This Week in History, September 1st, 1985. A U.S.-French expedition located the wreckage of the Titanic on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean, roughly 400 miles off Newfoundland. The wreck of the Titanic lies at a depth of about 12,500 feet, or 2,100 fathoms, or 3,800 meters, which is pretty deep. Do you remember were you following do you know what I'm about to say?
Yeah, I know what you're about to say.
The submarine, the Titan sub.
Oh, dear God.
Were you following that whole situation?
Kind of, just passively. Because it would just show up in your feed on your phone.
You couldn't avoid it.
You couldn't avoid it. I'm like, oh, geez, man.
Would you ever do that?
Nope.
If it was a super safe, like if it was James Cameron's sub, he's been down to been down there a bunch of times. Do you have any interest of doing that, of going really far?
No, not really. I'll watch the video of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It's like, no, that's really deep in Davy Jones' locker. Yeah.
The funny thing about the Titan sub is there was one, I think, viewing area. The rest of it, you were actually watching a screen.
Oh, geez.
Which is like,
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, but that's a little,
I don't know.
Just stay on the ship and watch the screen then.
No thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
A remote viewing, like having some real high tech cameras on, that go down there. That's totally safe, and you just watch from up above.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool with me. That's all I need.
A little popcorn, a couch.
Yeah. Safe.
And then
nice and safe.
When it implodes, you're just like, oh well.
Oh well.
Gonna get another soda.
Yeah, exactly.
The Titanic lies in two main pieces, about 2,000 feet apart. Wow, that's pretty far apart.
Wow. Is that just from drift? Or
I suppose, and it broke.
Yeah, it broke
at the surface.
And then,
so it probably drifted as it's coming down.
It's coming down, but
12,000 feet down.
Wow, yeah.
Interesting. 2,000 feet apart. I didn't really visualize that, I suppose. The Titanic sank on April 15th, 1912, 111 years ago. Good luck.
Wow.
When the ship collided with an iceberg at the previously mentioned location. The wreck was finally found by a joint French-American expedition led by, Jean-Louis Michel, maybe? Of IFREMER, which is a long French-named organization.
You
That's
can always
abbreviation
you can
of
always look up how
look
to
it up,
pronounce
Google it.
Yeah, Google it, dude.
And Robert Ballard of the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. Interesting name. I like the French one better. On September 1st, 1985.
Wow.
And we just mentioned that's where the Titan sub imploded. Right there, just a couple hundred feet above the wreck.
Wow.
I will say it would be pretty incredible if you could look through the porthole and see it emerging out of the darkness. That would be cool.
Would be cool. But I've seen some of the pictures.
Yeah.
That, and that's good enough for me. Because I'm always like, wow. You know what today is also? It's my brother's birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On this day in history, what year?
On this day in history, 1970. Yeah.
All right.
Eben and
Tim?
Ellis. No, it's Eben and Ellis, my twin brothers.
Twin brothers.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're like just 4 years younger than I am. So
2 happy birthdays.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, you got to make 2 calls. Anyway, yeah.
It's group FaceTime.
Yeah, but I remember that. I was in high school when that happened. It was on Time magazine.
Then when they found the Titanic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. It's pretty cool.
September 2nd, 31 BCE. Roman legions under Augustus Caesar defeated Mark Antony's naval force at Actium. We covered this in our Cleopatra series. Check those out. In 31 BCE, Mark Antony, the Roman commander and Cleopatra's lover, along with Cleopatra, clashed with Caesar on the waters of Ionian Sea. Nearly 1,000 ships battled it out for control of Egypt and the greater region. Caesar's decisive victory sealed Antony and Cleopatra's fate, both of whom died by their own hands shortly after.
Yep.
You know about Cleopatra?
Oh, age cannot wither her, nor time stale her infinite variety.
Shakespeare?
Yep.
Nice. We did a whole episode on Cleopatra.
Yep, she was one of the Ptolemies. She wasn't even Egyptian. She
That's
was
right.
Greek.
That's right. Yeah, you know. Did you listen?
No, I didn't.
Hey,
But
don't say that.
I've directed Antony and Cleopatra, and I've directed Julius Caesar.
Oh,
And
nice.
so doing a lot of doing a lot of research, you just you pick that up.
What a story. I really love
know
that
it's
story.
crazy.
So good,
It's a crazy story.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Everyone, check it out.
Yeah.
Shakespeare or the podcast, either or both. September 2nd, 1666. The Great Fire of London began on a bakery in Pudding Lane.
Oh no, not Pudding Lane.
In Pudding, I'm not making that up. In Pudding Lane.
Oh, Pudding Lane, you'll say.
Over the next so this is September 2nd. Over the next 3 days, more than 13,000 houses were destroyed.
Jesus.
Although only 6 lives were believed to be lost. I've heard that
man.
in hindsight that they think that maybe more people were killed, but seemed to mostly, 13,000 houses, where were all the people doing?
Yeah, well, they didn't have cable, so they were working or,
That's true. They might have been out of the house. Yeah, that's
or
true.
they might have been able to flee.
They certainly weren't watching the Titanic on the screen, watching the live feed of the Titanic. London in the 1660s was the largest city in Western Europe, estimated at 300,000 to 400,000 inhabitants.
Wow.
Compared to the other cities of Western Europe, London was largely constructed of wood. The fire started in a bakery, as we said, in Pudding Lane, shortly after midnight on Sunday, the 2nd of September, and spread rapidly.
Yeah.
It was a big city, but it was burned like for days and days and days. So
Gee whiz, man.
I don't know if
And
that's slow or
their
fast.
fire department was like really kind of not on the ball.
No, I wouldn't. I think it was probably
The fire
buckets.
brigade, yeah.
It was probably largely
line buckets from
yeah.
from the Thames.
Yeah, well, I think Pudding Lane was not too far, so hopefully they were able to get some. Well, this is actually this is what they would do. The major firefighting technique of the time was to create fire breaks by removing structures in the fire's path. So they would it was controlled demolition, basically, of cities or of buildings. And,
like blocks, probably.
Yeah.
Or like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Trying to kill the fuel.
Yeah. Well, it's also, like London is basically on a marsh. It's, and it was built up. So, it would burn, but it would smolder for a long time.
For a long time, smoke. And the fire breaks were critically delayed due to the indecisiveness of Lord Mayor Sir Thomas Bloodworth. It's also Pudding Lane and Bloodworth. By the time the large-scale demolitions were ordered on Sunday night, the wind had already fanned the bakery into a firestorm. The fire pushed north of the city on Monday and into the heart of the city. This is an interesting note to it that very quickly there were, as this fire's burning, people start accusing the homeless community, which at the time was the French and Dutch.
Yes.
And so people started having riots in the streets, and there were about the fact that the French and the Dutch are coming in and taking our jobs and all this kind of
our jobs. They've taken our jobs. Oh. It is not us. We did not take your jobs. We do not commute.
And do a Dutch one.
A lot of Germanic undertones. I don't know.
That's close enough. Anyway, yeah. So they were also, people were distracted from trying to put out the fire by being so upset at these people who obviously didn't start.
Chasing the
Dutch
foreigners, chasing the random Dutch, the crazy Dutch out of the city. Wow.
Well, I guess England was also at war with those two groups as well. So there's the war coupled with them being immigrants, coupled with them.
Always kind of at war, weren't they?
Not always, yeah. What's a good war Shakespeare? Richard?
War of the Roses.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah. The wind dropped, and they started using gunpowder and cannons to really sort of break up the fuel on the fire, and they eventually put it out that way by just blowing everything up. It says here that they were doing it from the Tower of London as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just shooting. Literally shooting at the fire.
Shooting like cannonballs and exploding bombs at the fire. Just shoot it at the fire. Put it out. It sounds like it's from like just around here.
Yeah, that sounds like a concrete thing that happened last weekend.
Yeah. It does.
Oh dear
Lord.
September 2nd, 1752.
We're getting closer.
Getting close. Well, these aren't really in order. I probably should have. Sorry. We're going
No,
around.
it's fine. The
We are a
first
little
one
closer.
was,
Yeah, we're way back. Now we're getting closer. The British ended their use of the Julian calendar, switching instead to the Gregorian calendar, resulting in a major adjustment as Wednesday, September 2nd, was followed by Thursday, September 14th. The correction resulted in rioting by people who felt they were cheated and demanded their missing 11 days back.
Wow.
That goes right in hand with the shooting bombs at the fire.
It's also very Gilbert and Sullivan, you know?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, geez. It almost sounds like a plot point in a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta.
Yeah, it does. Well, that would be great. That's like the Music Man or something.
Yeah. I want my 11 days back.
That's the play. I want my 11 days back. Oh, no.
Oh, man. How absurd.
September 2nd, 1945, President Harry Truman declared victory over Japan, commemorating the formal Japanese surrender to the Allies aboard the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay. Did you see Oppenheimer?
I have not seen Oppenheimer yet.
It's not worth it. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, especially from a historical standpoint, which, what's his name? Christopher Nolan is not. He's not a historian.
He's not a true historian.
Yeah, which is,
he's
whatever.
He's a director. He's a storyteller. So he's going to capitalize on whatever the drama was of that situation.
The most dramatic thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's not very accurate, and especially in regards to, dropping the bomb.
Not to get off topic, I did see the first half of the Barbenheimer, though. I did see Barbie, and that was
nice. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, I will say, Barbie is a far better film.
Far superior.
Oh yeah, it is. It really is. And I ended up seeing them both, but even when I was watching Barbie, I was like, this is the better movie for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but the story of Oppenheimer is really interesting, though.
Yeah, and the movie was about Oppenheimer being accused and persecuted for being a communist. That's what the movie was about. Like truly, it spent all of its hours on that topic alone, and a very small amount of time on anything else.
Right.
But what it was pitched to be, and what I think Christopher Nolan thinks he did, was it being a meditation on the fervor that whipped people into creating such a terrible thing without forethought, of like, what happens when this is out?
What happens when you open up this box?
Exactly. Yeah. And
that you can't shut.
Part of the element of Oppenheimer was, he didn't even think about it. He didn't know. And it's like, I mean, he knew. Like, he wasn't like, I wonder what the Army's going to do when I deliver the bomb. He knows what they're going to do with it. They estimated, they were telling how many, they're like, this will kill 30,000 people. What do you mean? What do you think they're going to do with it if you're calculating
in
how many
ancient China,
if
you find a guy that can design you a projectile weapon that can be shot with a string and a piece of wood. Mm-hmm. What do you think you're going to do? If you hand it to your superior, the person, he's going to use it in war. Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yeah. And it's really funny. Just a note that we mentioned the bow and arrow. When the crossbow came onto European battlefields, a lot of people thought it was unfair.
Yeah.
And considered it unfair warfare to be able to shoot such a high-powered bolt from so far away that could go through armor and go through all these things that
unfair, foul, party foul.
Yeah, party foul on the battlefield.
Yeah. Hey, well, wait a minute. I'm out of arrows. Can we just stop until I can go get some more arrows?
And now we have the bomb. September 3rd, 1838, anti-slavery leader Frederick Douglass began his escape from slavery by boarding a train in Baltimore dressed as a sailor. He rode to Wilmington, Delaware, where he caught a steamboat to the free city of Philadelphia, then took a train to New York City, where he came under the protection of the Underground Railway network.
Wow.
Yep, September 3rd. We did an episode, Fort Mose, which is coming out. It's more in the 18th century, not the 19th century, but similar thing about how a lot of enslaved people would leave the British colonies to go to what was Spanish Florida because the Spanish had set this decree that anyone escaping the British colonies could be freed as long as they converted to Catholicism.
Oh, wow.
To sort of poach colonizers and people and taking the population
stay
from
here,
come and be Spanish instead of being British was kind of the thing. But That was kind of what a lot of people consider the beginning of the Underground Railroad was that path from British colonies south to Florida.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. September 4th, 1609, the island of Manhattan was discovered by navigator Henry Hudson. His voyage was used to establish Dutch claims to the region and to further the fur trade.
New Amsterdam.
That's right. And it was the New Amsterdam, and it became the capital of what they were calling New Netherland in 1625.
Yep.
So that was in 1609. In 1610, after he had discovered the island of Manhattan, Hudson obtained backing for another voyage, this time under the English flag. The funding came from the Virginia Company and the British East India Company in attempts to find the Northwest Passage to Asia, something that would claim the lives of many sailors trying to find the Northwest Passage for hundreds of years to come.
Wow. Because they didn't have the Panama Canal then.
They did not, no. No, they were trying to get through the continents.
Yeah.
They spent several months mapping the Hudson Bay, hoping that they would find a passage through, which they never did.
Nope.
And they soon became trapped in the ice in James Bay, and the crew moved ashore for the winter. Life became hard quickly, and soon a mutiny was afoot. The mutineers trapped Hudson, his son, and 7 crew members in a small boat. When the ice thawed, the boat and ship played a game of chase until the masted ship left Hudson and his crew to die adrift in the small boat.
Wow.
I thought it was a crazy story.
Yeah, that is a crazy story. That would be actually a pretty cool movie.
That would be a pretty cool movie.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah. All right, great.
Yeah.
You want to do it? You want to play Hudson?
Oh, man. Oh, no, I'd want to play one of the mutineers.
There you go, yeah.
Villains are so much more fun.
That's true. It just goes to show, don't be mean to your crew. They'll kill you.
That's right.
September 7th, 1191. The Muslim army of Saladin attacked the Crusaders of Richard I, Richard the Lionheart, at the Battle of Arsuf. And though Richard successfully counterattacked in the evening, his march to Jerusalem was delayed. So, big old battle. What's the movie Kingdom of Heaven? I think is about this.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay. Wasn't Domhnall Gleeson's dad? What's his name? He was in Braveheart.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the knights, one of the Knights
right,
Templars.
Yep.
If I recall correctly, I see so many movies, man. Yeah.
September 8th, 1504, Michelangelo's The David was unveiled in the Piazza della Signoria. You did Italian trade, you should know how to say this. Piazza, would it be Dea? Is 2 L's a Y, or is it Della in Italian?
Piazza della Signoria. Signoria.
Yeah, there you go. In Florence. Considered a masterpiece, the sculpture is one of the defining works of the Renaissance.
It is a beautiful statue.
Have you seen it in person?
I have not seen it in person, but I've seen like some very high definition,
images of the PP.
Images of the statue, and that it was carved.
Yeah.
Out of a piece of marble? Was it?
Stone. Yeah, some kind of stone.
Some kind of stone that's like it. You can't tell. It looks, if it was colored like flesh, you'd look real.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can expect it to breathe. It's just
It's incredible what they
the
could
detail.
do.
Yeah.
September 8th, 1883, the Northern Pacific Railroad across the U.S. was completed. Construction began in 1870, and the main line opened all the way from the Great Lakes to the Pacific, where former President Ulysses S. Grant drove in the final Golden Spike in western Montana on September 8th, 1883.
Wow.
The railroad had about 6,800 miles of track and served a large area, including the states of Idaho, Minnesota, Montana, North Dakota, Oregon, Washington, and Wisconsin.
It made it harder to die of dysentery, too.
Because you could travel quicker, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy to think that wasn't that long ago.
I know, but it's
1883, it's like we're still living in the old Western times. All right, last one here. September 8th, 1900, a hurricane with winds of 120 miles an hour struck Galveston, Texas, killing over 8,000 people, making it the worst natural disaster in U.S. history. The hurricane and tidal wave that followed destroyed over 2,500 buildings.
Yep.
The Eric Larson book, Isaac Storm, is all about this topic. Check it out.
Yeah. growing up in as a kid in Texas in school,
Mm-hmm.
you have Texas history.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we learned about that. It's crazy. It devastated the entire coast there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just horrible. The pictures and stuff.
Yeah. From my understanding, it was also, I mean, at least the point of Isaac Storm is that this meteorologist was trying to warn everybody about this, and people were like, there's no storm that big, exists, basically. And
no. Yeah, at their peril. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then by the time that it had hit, it was too late. There was no time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they'd listened, yeah.
Just goes to show. Listen to your meteorologist.
That's
when
right.
When they say it's going to rain, it's going to rain. Okay?
Well, it's going
to rain.
I mean, yeah. It'll rain.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yep.
All right, well, that's this week.
This week in history.
We'll be back next week. Check it out.